Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And Chairman Powell, thank you very much for being with us here today. And I also wanted to thank you for another effort you undertook, and that was in 2011. You spent a considerable amount of time with members of the House trying to walk them through the debate that we had on raising the debt ceiling. You were trying to get us focused on all the unintended consequences which would occur if we did not raise that debt ceiling. And I very much appreciated the time and effort and facts that you put forward. So you've got a new voice now at the Fed, and I assume your opinions on the severe consequences of failing to raise the debt ceiling remain. I know that in August, it looks as though the federal government is going to have to borrow or have to roll over $500 billion of debt in August. And if we're in a quasi-default situation in August, then clearly it's a real question as who would want to purchase that debt and at what cost would they purchase that debt. And clearly a premium on that, a 10% premium, would be a $50 billion hit right there to the interest expense. But there's much more than that that would befall the impact on our markets and, frankly, at corporate debt. And maybe I could just give you this opportunity to explain some of the concerns about that issue.
Thank you, Mr. Royce. So, of course, we don't do fiscal policy at the Fed, but I'll accept your invitation and just say that it is very important that the federal government and government generally be on a sustainable fiscal path, meaning as the baby boomer generation retires, we'll need to address these significant fiscal issues that are coming to us over time. And I think it's important that Congress do that. At the same time, the debt ceiling should be something that we always raise in a timely fashion. There's no other country in the world has a separate vote over whether to pay bills that we've already agreed to incur. And I think the United States has never defaulted on a principal or interest payment and never should. And I think doing so would be, something I'd really hate to see and could bring very significant consequences.
Well, I appreciate your articulating that. You've also said that raising the ceiling is only the first step. The job that must be attacked is deficit reduction and addressing the costs associated with mandatory spending. And we heard a similar thing from Chairman Greenspan. We heard that from Chairman Bernanke and Chairman Yellen. We're on an unsustainable budget path, and are the remarks that Fed chairmen have traditionally shared with us. As I've raised with previous chairs, I don't think the American public really understands the magnitude of the problem we're facing, and we certainly haven't galvanized the political action necessary to address it. What do you think we, and what do you think you, can do to raise the alarm that the biggest and fastest growing costs in mandatory spending must be addressed?
Well, I think I think I'll follow the path of my predecessors and not become a regular commentator on fiscal issues, but rather limit myself to a couple of overarching points. The first of which is just that we really need to get on a sustainable fiscal path, and that the time to really be doing that is now. And the second thing I'll say is that when fiscal changes are made, it's important that to the extent possible, they be directed at enhancing the productive capacity of the economy. We can't affect productivity other than through keeping prices stable and regulation on a balanced basis. And productivity is the thing that allows incomes to rise, per capita incomes to rise over time. So we don't control the potential long-run growth rate. You have much more authority over that, and I think to the extent fiscal policy can focus on ways to increase attachment to the labor force and create incentives for more skills and aptitudes among our labor force and greater investment in R&D and that kind of thing, that's a healthy thing.
Thank you very much, Chairman.
Time of the gentleman has expired. The chair